Good morning, baseball fans, and welcome to another episode of 162 Times, your daily baseball recap and preview show. I'm your host, Daniel Turner. It's great to be with you here on a Tuesday morning, and we're going to bring you the action from last night. The Mariners started a 3-game series in St. Petersburg, Florida, against the Tampa Bay Rays. We will also tee up this afternoon's matchup between those same two teams from that same location. And then we will look around the majors at the other scores on a slowish Monday night. So, starting with last night's game, unfortunately, the Mariners fell 4-3 in regulation 9 innings. The win brings the Tampa Rays to 39-40, still 4th place in the American League East. The loss drops the Mariners to 45-36, first in the American League West still. Overall, the Mariners had 3 hits for 3 runs, and they committed an error. And the Rays had 11 hits, but only managed 4 runs, even though that was 1 run enough to secure the victory. Losses and wins went to various relievers, so it was Phil Maton getting the win for the Rays. He's 1-2 now with a 4.04 ERA. The loss went to Austin Voth. He's now 2-2 with a 3.73 ERA. And the save went to Mr. Fairbanks. That'll be Pete Fairbanks, the Rays reliever. Starting pitching, unfortunately for the Mariners, it was Bryan Woo who only went 3 innings, and then he left with some hamstring tightness. So that is too bad. In those 3 innings, he gave up 5 hits, only 1 run, which was earned, and he struck out 3. Then Taylor Saucedo came in, got an out, but he gave up 2 hits, and he struck out 1. Trent Thornton got 5 outs, struck out 3, no hits or runs. Baumann got an inning done. He struck out 1. No other damage to report. Ryan Stanek gave up a hit, but struck out 2 in his inning. And then it was Voth who did 2/3 of an inning, but he gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned. He walked a guy. And Andres Munoz got the final out of the 8th inning. He gave up a hit, a walk, and he struck out 1. Overall, the Mariners struck out 11 Rays. But on the other side of things, it was Mr. Bradley, Taj Bradley, who had a good start for the Rays. He went 5 1/3, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 4 walks, 8 Ks, and he gave up a homer. Then it was Pache, 2/3 of an inning with 2 strikeouts. Davinsky, 2/3 of an inning with a hit, a run, 2 of them earned. A hit, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, and he walked 3, and he gave up a home run. Not great work from him. Phil Maton, though, closed the door in the 7th and 8th, and then Fairbanks shut things down in the top of the 9th. Both of those guys struck out 2. So overall, the Mariners struck out 14 times on the night, and they didn't win despite getting 7 walks gifted to them. In fact, it was a walk from Austin Voth that came around and hurt them in the 8th inning. Other things to note before we get to the scoring is Polanco is back. Jorge Polanco, Polo, is back in the lineup. And I thought he looked okay at the plate last night. They optioned Tyler Locklear back to Tacoma to make space for him. That was the move. So, in terms of scoring, the Mariners, obviously 3 hits and an error. You don't expect to win a ball game, but they were up 3-1 in the 8th inning. Every bit looking like they were going to steal a victory, but they ended up not doing that. So top of 4, Cal Raleigh homered. It was a solo shot. Then the game was tied because Taylor Saucedo uncorked a wild pitch, and that let Richie Palacios score. That was in the bottom of the 4th. But Mitch Garver made it 3-1 with a 2-run shot in the top of the 7th, scoring Dominic Canzone. However, bottom of 8, after that walk, it was Ben Rotvet who hit a ground rule double, and it allowed Taylor Walls to score. Jose Siri went to 3rd. The Mariners caught a break there because if it had stayed in the park, Siri was going to score easily. That made it 2nd and 3rd with a limited number of outs, and then Yandy Diaz singled to right field. It took a bad hop and beat both France and Polanco on the right side of the infield, and it allowed Jose Siri and Johnny DeLuca to score, and that's all they would really need. So, concerning things for the Mariners are obviously the number of strikeouts, the fact that the bullpen couldn't hold the lead, and that, they only managed a very limited number of hits. Also, Bryan Woo getting hurt puts a lot of pressure on the top three guys in the rotation, which is Kirby, Castillo, and Gilbert. Bryce Miller will also need to step up, and they'll need to find someone else to fill that fifth starting spot if Woo can't come back quickly. All right, looking ahead to today, later this afternoon, it's a 6:50 p.m. Eastern start like it was last night. It'll be the same Luis Castillo who'll be taking the hill. He'll be going up against Zach Littell. So Castillo on the season is 6-8 with a 3.63 ERA and 96 Ks, really good numbers. Littell is 2-5 with a 4.2 ERA and 76 Ks. Seattle doesn't have a ton of experience against Littell. Looks like Julio and Josh Rojas have a few at-bats. Rojas has been batting well against him. Cal Raleigh has 3 at-bats, and he's 333 in terms of average. The only guy on the Rays who has a ton of at-bats against Castillo is Ahmed Rosario. He's batting 350 with a 1.009 OPS against Luis. But the Rays have seen him a fair bit, so we will hope for good things. We don't have the lineups yet, but we'll see how manager Service decides to throw things out there, just given that he needs a win here. Because they lost a series they should have won against the Marlins, as folks know, and it would be important to win at least one game in this series. We can't start losing series all of a sudden. That's how divisional leads evaporate, Mariners. Speaking of divisional leads, on Monday, there were actually quite a few games. There was 12 games on Monday, which is a little unusual for a Monday. So the Angels beat the Athletics 5-1. The Brewers beat the Rangers, thank goodness, 6-3. And the Astros were silent. They were not playing. So the Mariners didn't lose any ground last night as a result of that Rangers loss. So we can be thankful for that. The Royals beat the Marlins 4-1. See, Seattle, it is possible to beat the Marlins, but that was at home in Kansas City. The Dodgers 3, the White Sox nothing. The Cardinals 4, the Braves 3. The Red Sox 7, the Jays 6. Red Sox swept the Jays in Toronto, and now they're down in Boston and have won the first game. Guardians 3, Orioles 2. Big win for the Guardians there. Phillies 8, Tigers 1. Reds 11, Pirates 5. And finally, the Giants over the Cubbies 5-4 at home in San Francisco. So, interesting night. Like I said, not much ground lost by the Mariners in this one. But they've got to do well in this Tampa series. Then they're going home, thank goodness, because this road trip has been disastrous. And, they lost the series in Cleveland. They lost the series in Miami. They're at risk of losing the series in Tampa. So they'll go home and they'll play the Twins on the weekend. So we won't get to that just yet, but keep that in mind as that's sort of the trajectory that the Mariners are on. All right, folks, have a good one. Talk to you tomorrow.